You will have been pleased the deal went down, but what now? What do you think should happen?
Well, the only thing we can do is say, all right, we voted to reject our current relationship with the rest of the EU in 2016. We negotiated a new relationship with the EU. It's only logical that the people be the ones who decide which relationship they prefer.
Well, what does that mean, though? Because a referendum, by its very nature, tends to be in or out. So how would you phrase it?
It would have to be, do you want the new relationship or do you want the old relationship? So basically it's this deal, leaving it under these terms, or staying under the terms we have in the treaties.
How could you put forward in a referendum a deal that's been rejected by a majority of 230 in the House of Commons?
Well, the fact is, there is no alternative. The fact that we don't have a better Brexit plan shouldn't mean that people shouldn't be given the choice to reject it. I mean, no deal is simply not an option. The British Medical Association said that this would be catastrophic for the NHS. And given that many people voted for Brexit to help the NHS, they cannot allow something that would be that catastrophic to it. So that means the choice has to be between this deal and the remaining in the EU.
I suppose there's a possibility, and we're waiting to hear more about this even today, that the EU comes back and there is a different deal on the table.
No, the Irish would never allow that. The Irish have insisted that there must be a backstop to protect the Good Friday Agreement, which even this deal is at best is questionable in terms of how it protects the Good Friday Agreement, but any sort of removing of the backstop, the Irish would never go for it, and the EU would never go for it.
So you're right, the EU has stuck together, the other 27, and made it very clear that the interests of the Irish Republic are crucial. So do you think any deal that the British public vote on has to include that openness, that trade openness?
Yeah, which is kind of the big irony. I mean, they voted to take back control, but it's resulting in a loss of control. That's the reason why they rejected that deal, because if you protect the Good Friday Agreement, it means you need to have the same rules, more or less, as the Republic of Ireland in order to keep that frictionless border, so you don't have to do checks in terms of customs and regulations at that border. Now, if that happens, it means we're still following the rules of the EU, but we've given up our dominant position in setting those rules. Right now, the UK has 3 times the voting power of the average EU country. To give that up, so we're then bound by the rules of the EU with no say, is the exact opposite of take back control.